The days are longer, the calendar is filling up, and I want to feel as good as this beautiful summer weather. That's why I've been loving Groons. It's one daily pack of gummies that covers my greens, vitamins, and minerals, and even has 6 grams of prebiotic fiber. So I don't need to juggle a complicated wellness routine on top of everything else. They taste amazing. They're easy to toss in my bag on the go. Plus, they're vegan, gluten-free, and HSA, FSA eligible for reimbursement. Save up to 52% off with promo code podcast at gruns.co. That's code podcast at gruns.co.
Security threats are everywhere. But with Xfinity XFi, you're notified of threats to your in-home Wi-Fi network, so all your connected devices are protected. That's simple, easy, awesome. Switch to Xfinity today and get a great offer. You'll get fast speeds and the best in-home Wi-Fi experience with Xfinity XFi. Plus, ask about enhanced security for safer browsing and more. Go to Xfinity.com, call 1-800-XFINITY, or visit an Xfinity store to switch today. Restrictions apply.
This is the Russo-Souhan Show, part of the Minnesota Sports Podcast Network, live at Hell's Kitchen, as we so often are. We're going to talk some hockey. Facebook Live portion of the show is sponsored by Finlandia Vodka, Jack Daniels, and Surly Brewing. The podcast version of the show sponsored by Twill and the Edina Galleria, Fixology Repair, Mall of America, and Crown Bank. Michael, first of all, what's the news of the day? You've been out at development camp.
Yeah, not a lot of news today. I talked to Bruce Boudreau a couple times today, actually, and he still is convinced the Wild are going to sign one, maybe two forwards. Again, I wrote a big story in today's Star Tribune about how Chuck Fletcher, who I also just chatted with as I was walking down here, is working hard right now to re-sign Mikhail Granlund, Nito Niederreiter, and Marcus Foligno. That's going to happen at some point. You don't know when. So if it goes to arbitration with Niederreiter and Granlund, the latest that it's going to happen is August 4th and 5th. If he can get it done before, that's the goal, to sign them maybe to contracts in the 3 to 5 year range. Then once he counts all his money, that's when you go and try to sign a couple forwards. So, Matt Cullen is still an option, I think. It's funny, I've corresponded with Matt a ton lately, but mostly, not talking about what's going on here. And I do think that he hasn't made a total decision yet on what his future is going to be. It might be just also kind of hanging loose right now, prepping like he's going to play, then seeing if the Wild come calling once they re-sign these guys. And I think that's kind of been the call that the Wild have made to him, is like, look, let us get done with our due diligence here with Niederreiter, Granlund, and Foligno, and then figure out exactly how much money we're going to have. I'll tell you what threw a bomb on everything was the Kuznetsov contract with Washington. He got so overpaid for what he is at this point in his career. And the hope is, and because of that, there's a great big unknown of exactly what the market is, not only on a long-term deal, but also on in arbitration, when an arbitrator would give on a 1 or 2 year award. So I think that big disparity now on what the Wild felt the market is and what the market might be in terms of what Granlund and Niederreiter's agents think it is such a huge gap that they just want to hit the brakes with the UFAs, knowing that at worst comes to worst, there's going to be a bunch of people there at the end of the day. In terms of other things, I I went down to development camp today. Again, not a ton of prospects there because, a couple of the guys just can't come. Obviously, the Kaprizov and the Svetlakov and, Sokolov's hurt. No Russians there right now. 25 invitees. But guys that stood out today, Sam Annis, Carson Soucy, Justin Clues, Luke Cunnin had a goal. Greenway's big and strong and can make plays on the fly. So guys look pretty good today.
Awesome. By the way, before we get to hockey, the other night, I think we heard that you were going to go down to the Basilica block party.
Yes.
And I'm old. and my wife is used to me being old, so we were sitting at home, and my wife's like, "What is he going to go stand in the middle of the pack and just wander around?" I'm like, "No, he's going to end up backstage." And of course, you did more than end up backstage. So tell me about your night.
Actually, yeah. I mean, again, Paul Fletcher's one of my best friends, and one of the cool things of knowing Paul, and if you don't know Paul, he's the the music director at Cities 97, and also the DJ from 2 to 7 every day. Is that I've gotten to meet. My favorite, that is my type of music that I listen to. And so I've gotten to meet a lot of my favorite acts, from Lumineers to Imagine Dragons to One Republic to Matt Hires. Eric Hutchinson, coincidentally, is really good friends with him that I knew from somewhere else, and we're buddies. Just a ton. Been on stage watching the script and things like that. And so the latest was just hanging out at the Basilica Block Party. And, a couple years ago, afterwards, we went to the Union Rooftop with OAR. And that was a neat thing. So I kind of said to Paul, we should go to the Butcher and the Boar after and maybe invite some of your friends. So Friday night, I really wanted the Shins to come because they're one of my favorite bands, but he didn't ask them. But we hung out with the guys from Need to Breathe. Really, really cool guys. Just awesome dudes. And so that was fun. We had dinner with them. Amazing. Like, I'm buddies with one of the Veeps from Hyatt, and he came with us with his daughter, and we ordered just a feast of stuff, and all of a sudden the bill comes, and the bill's disappeared, and my friend Steve picked it up, which was unbelievably generous. Yeah, and then Saturday was really neat. We had dinner with all the Walk Off the Earth guys, and then the local band Enemy Planes, which is blowing up right now. They also sat with us at the table, and so I got to really, the Walk Off the Earth guys are all from Ontario. So they're huge hockey fans. So their most recognizable person in the band is this guy named Mike Taylor. They call him Taylor. He's got the T-shirt of him just kind of posing with the beard and everything like that. And immediately he and I hit it off because he is just a huge hockey rube. One of his closest friends is this guy, Damian Cox, who's a longtime hockey columnist, a general columnist up in Toronto that I'm sure you're familiar with. Yep. So he and I are taking selfies within 5 minutes of meeting each other and sending it to Damian. And talked hockey the whole night. Met Marshall, who's one of the lead singers. He sat next to me at dinner, and he's a fascinating guy. Married to one of the other bandmates' sisters in the band. His stepson is this really famous kid right now. That's like I think he's 20, maybe 19 or 20 years old. That was the first lead in Billy Elliot on Broadway. And it came from him doing this song on YouTube, like Blackbird with the band. The Beatles song, Blackbird. And he gets Billy Elliot the lead. Now he's in he's starting a boy band, and he's in this long-time television show that's running 6 or 7 years called Next Step or something. I haven't watched it, but apparently it's syndicated worldwide. So that was really neat, just kind of talking to him and about his life. And as you know, I'm a huge fan of musicians. I'm fascinated by their lives. They're always great, down-to-earth people. But then the coolest thing was yet to come. Like, I'm a big Gavin DeGraw fan, and Gavin DeGraw, Paul Fletcher texted him and brought him down to Butcher and the Boar, and I wound up talking to him for like an hour, and just a great dude. Predators season ticket holders, just again a fascinating guy with hit after hit after hit. To the point, it's funny, I didn't know his life story until afterwards, until really Googling him and kind of learning that, of his, like 7 years ago, he was attacked in the East Village by a bunch of guys and basically left, and then hit by a taxi cab to top it all off. And now he's big into self-defense things. There's all sorts of things. We were having a private conversation, so I won't get into his whole life story. But, a lot of things made sense. Like, one thing I will say is, so at like 1, 2 a.m., I go, all right, I'm going to, take off here. And he goes, how are you getting home? And I'm like, I'm going to walk. He goes, no, you can't walk this late. I'm like, what are you talking about? I walk home every night, and he goes, no, it's too late to walk. There's some bad people in this world. You need to call an Uber. So I'm like, all right, I'll call an Uber, man. So I called an Uber, and then the next day is when I kind of Googled this, and it totally clicked on why he was like that. So, and now it's funny. I mean, I was a fan of his before, but now it's kind of like all I've listened to the last couple days is because he is just really, really talented. And again, I didn't realize how many great songs that he's had that's played on Cities forever.
That's awesome stuff. By the way, after our show tonight, Barb Abney will be up with Music from Hell and her guests tonight, Porno Wolves, which, of course, are the best kind of wolves. Let's thank again Twill and the Edina Galleria for sponsoring the podcast. Also, if you're in the house tonight, there's a celebrity here, Steve Terry of TSR Injury Law, who sponsors our basketball podcast with John Krasinski and has become a friend of ours. He's in the house too, but I'm not going to tell you which one he is because he likes to stay anonymous. He doesn't put his face on every billboard in every corner of the city or anything like that.
Let's put it this way: when he walked in,
you know
like,
who he
that
was.
guy looks like really familiar. Who is that? And you're like, oh, that's Steve Terry. I'm like, oh, I've seen his face a gazillion times.
I mean, what better way to promote your business than have Steve Terry's face on billboards? That's what I always say. All right, so thanks again to Twill and the Edina Galleria.
For most guys, shopping for clothes isn't their favorite thing to do. That's why Scott Dayton opened up Twill and the Galleria 12 years ago. He wanted to create a relaxed, one-stop shop experience for guys. Twill carries many of the best brands in clothing and is the only Peter Millar crown shop in the upper Midwest. Twill carries everything from suits and weekend clothes to shorts and t-shirts or even a new outfit for the golf course. You can also put your company logo on just about anything there. When it comes to men's clothing, Scott Dayton and his staff have over 100 years of experience. Check out Twill in the Galleria in Edina or online at twillmn.com. And make sure to mention the podcast.
We have a lot of Facebook Live questions. People have been waiting patiently. Thanks for hanging on and listening to the skateboarding portion of the show. From Skylar Vicious, Yager to the Flames, been hearing all about it.
Yeah,
yes or no?
It would kind of shock me. I think at this point he might play anywhere if he wants to play. That would just shock me because it's so bizarre to anywhere that he's played. But I'm sure that there's a need for that. On Calgary, they're an up-and-coming team. I'm not big. I know a lot of Wild fans are clamoring for him. I am not a fan of him bringing in here. I think that would be a disaster written all over it. He would not like the role that he would have on this team, and I just think it would be a major, major problem. So thanks, Skylar, for the question. Skylar and his dad came down to my radio thing today.
Oh, cool.
Down at the Fan. So appreciate you know Skylar, right?
I met Skylar here, yeah. From Zach Brown, another person, another frequent listener. How many Americanos would it take for you to go down a half pipe?
It would take a lot stronger stuff than Americanos. Let's put it that way. I don't even know if like alcohol or drugs would make me do something that dumb. You know what I mean?
I wouldn't do it. I just wouldn't do it.
Could you imagine me like maybe if I had trained forever like Nicole, but could you imagine me trying to do something like I would break an elbow immediately? Oh, I had a cut, like a scratch.
Yeah, it's not really good. It's not good for a hypochondriac to get real injuries. Let's put it that way.
I had like a scratch. I don't know what I did it on, but it's something the other day at the Basilica block party. I just had like a scratch that went really deep. No blood. Just a scratch. And it was burning to such a degree that I stopped on the way home to get a Band-Aid. Bought an entire thing of Band-Aids just to stop it from rubbing against my phone.
You cover people who spit their teeth out and don't miss a shift.
I've never protested to be gutsy or courageous or anything. I'm just telling you the fact. I bought a pop socket because I have a callus on my pinky.
From your friend, your best friend, Kevin Fallness, do you have an update on Kaprizov, and can you break down the political climate in Russia?
Is he? Is that really from Fallness?
Yes, it's really from Fallness.
Wow. So the latest on Kaprizov is not. I mean, it's unbelievable the intimidation that's trying to go on over there right now with him. I mean, like I said, the last update the other day hasn't changed. I find it very bizarre that the league kind of announces it on their Twitter account, but the team still has not. And the kid basically was quoted saying, well, I have time to decide on this. Mm-hmm. They're trying to pressure him. And this is what goes on over there. He's 19, and they're trying to keep him over there. And as I kind of alluded to the other night, the North American agents have been kind of pushed out of the process, so they don't know what's going on. And the Wild are just hoping and praying that the right people have his best interest in mind. And
what are the odds of that?
I'll just say that includes his family.
Yeah.
You know, there's a lot of pressure there on a lot of people, including his immediate family, that probably need to make the right decision for this kid and not hold them hostage.
It's amazing. I mean, even if we're just talking about the hockey drama here, I mean, I've spent most of my life reading about the Cold War, both fiction, nonfiction, historical fiction. I've read about, what led up to the Cold War. I've read about the way Russians influence other countries, the way they go after the Eastern Bloc. It's amazing to see this playing out in real time in a way that affects our country.
Somebody on Twitter the other day said to me, like, why doesn't Chuck just bite the bullet and sign the kid? Like, you cannot be that naive. This is not like, and I'm sorry if you're listening, and I'm ripping on you here, but like, this is not the United States of America over there. There's a couple of teams over there that have all the money in the league, and they're run by these huge energy companies that are essentially, that are also run by even worse people than that. And it's also Putin's right involved as well.
Yep.
And this is not like this isn't a free agent. This isn't a normal 19-year-old kid from here that could decide what he wants to do. There is pressure going on over there. This is not a democracy. And this has gone on forever. I mean, the stories have gone on forever of GMs having to steal people from the Soviet Union and defect them over here. I told the story about the Berets last week. And yes, I know this isn't the Soviet Union anymore, but this is not a normal situation.
It's still run by a KGB
can't fly
agent
to Russia and force this kid to come and just take him. I mean, it doesn't work like that.
It does not. I really am glad Steve Terry's here tonight. Usually John Hedges from Fixology Repair comes to our shows. He can't always make it.
He's got somewhere to go tomorrow.
Yeah, well, that's right. He's going on the big trip with you to Ireland tomorrow.
I leave everybody
He's home packing. But John Hedges runs Fixology Repair, third floor of the Mall of America up by Nordstrom's. We appreciate his support. If you need any Apple products fixed, watches fixed, if you need anything like that, please check out fixologyrepair.com.
There are some things in life that you just can't live without. Now, whether it's a special piece of jewelry, a watch, or even your smartphone, you want it in working condition. At Fixology Repair, we are committed to restoring your pieces so that everything works or fits the way it ought to. Watch servicing, chain repair, and broken screen replacements are just a few of the services that we offer at our 2 locations, Mall of America and the Skyway in downtown Minneapolis. Please visit us at fixologyrepair.com or at fixologymn on Twitter to learn more. Mention this ad and get a 10% discount on our services.
Barb Rule and Heather Rule are watching from Andover. We appreciate that. From Chris Lebreche, I hope I'm getting that right. What is your prediction for Nino and Miguel and Granlund's contract price per year?
Chris usually comes to this.
Yeah, he does.
I think.
And by the way, we also have a live mic here. If anybody wants to come up and ask a direct question, go right ahead.
Originally, I thought like 4.5 for Nino, 5.2 or something for Granlund. Again, everything's depending on the term. The higher the term, longer the term, the lower the price. The shorter the term, probably the higher the price. But I don't know if things have changed here right now based on some of the contracts that have been out there. Maybe the Tyler Johnson contract today, 7 years, $35 million, helps. But again, I don't think the Wild want to go that term with either of those guys.
From Jared Scala on Facebook Live, the Wild only plays in Vegas once next season. All things the same, would the Wild play there twice the following season?
That's what I believe, but I don't know that for a fact. I mean, obviously, there's an uneven amount of teams now, 15 teams in the West, and things are going to be very uneven for a while, both in the division and conference.
We have 2 questions about your upcoming trip. Scott Carlson asks if you and Russo Slacks will be wearing matching kilts. And Eric Feister also asked a kilt question, so you can mix that in.
All right, yeah. First of all, let's not instigate Russo Slacks with that Photoshop. And I mean that for a fact.
We just did.
Yeah,
we
I
just
mean that
did.
for a fact. I think I've intimidated Russo Slacks because
that's not possible.
Because he tweeted something.
A guy
the other day
who
that
needs a Band-Aid for a non-bleeding cut. Intimidated somebody.
But he actually. I can't remember what it was, but he tweeted something to me the other day that I actually found funny, and I went to respond to it, and he deleted the tweet because I think he thought that it would offend me, and I actually thought it was funny. So, but please, no kilt Photoshops.
How about, I think we need to rephrase the request to be realistic. Fewer than 100 kilt Photoshops, please. I don't want to be seeing that on my Twitter timeline all day tomorrow. Let's quickly thank Crown Bank, crown-bank.com. Branches in downtown Minneapolis and in Edina, our longest-running sponsors. Thanks for all their support.
Your banking relationship should match your lifestyle. And if your lifestyle is to live well, You want Crown Bank. You want a bank and a banker who will give you what you want and what you need without a hassle. Crown Bank is responsive. From ordering checks to making you a loan, they build a relationship with you that will help you get what you want so that you can live well. Crown Bank. It's a lifestyle choice and the place to do business. Member FDIC.
Next live show here, myself, Anthony LaPanta, and Tim Yoder of Viking Update are going to talk all things Minnesota sports. 5 o'clock on Friday at Hell's Kitchen. We'll go to about 5 to 5:45. Please stop by, or again, you can watch on the Facebook live feed. And thanks again to Hell's Kitchen for everything they've done for us, etc. What else do we need to know about the hockey world right now?
That's a good question. I'm putting together a whole email for Glenn and all our editors at work with just things that could happen when I'm gone. Right now, I mean, as you know, the league goes to sleep for the month of August usually. So, I think a lot of the news the next couple of weeks will be, what happens with Yager, Ginla, and Doan, and the price points for a lot of these arbitration cases. Most of the time, these things are settled before it gets to arbitration. I'll be interested what happens with Nino and Granlund. I will say, and this goes back to Skylar's question the other day about, having Nino, Granlund, Koivu, Dumba, and Zucker potentially up all next year. Even though in today's article, Chuck Fletcher said there's, a value maybe to having Nino and Granlund on 2-year deals, I'd still be very shocked if they take that risk. But maybe I'm wrong.
A couple more Facebook Live questions have popped up. Bobby Lynn, astute question. Did you get everything figured out with your computer in Vegas? Do we have resolution?
No, there's no resolution. The last I heard was I talked to them. They basically said we're not covering it. It's he said versus he said. So my newspaper had me write up kind of a whole synopsis of what happened, and I sent it in and haven't heard another word about it. Our laptops, I think, are insured for half price or something. So my guess is our paper's not going to fight them for $500 or whatever it is. But like I said all along, I mean, to me, I wasn't trying to get them to, pay me a couple grand for my laptop. I was trying to say you got an employee that needs to be dealt with.
And that's the Flamingo in Vegas, by the way. We spend a lot of time giving shout-outs to our sponsors, also other companies we like. But, man, you can't do that. You can't have somebody take your property and spike it because you didn't get a tip. That's ridiculous.
And I'm lucky. How many times? How often has he done that to other people?
Right.
I'm one that just saw it. And I think it's absurd that the Flamingo, and the one place in all of the casinos there really should be a camera, it doesn't have a camera.
Right.
And that's the back room of where, Bellman can basically, either damage or steal from bags.
From another one from Chris Lebreche. Are the odds of the Wild playing in Vegas on New Year's Eve better than a snowball melting in hell? Does everything have to go through Toronto first?
Yeah, I mean, well, New York is what kind of comes up with the schedule, but, I don't know. That would be my dream. So March Madness is going to be crazy. I'm telling you right now, if you are a Wild fan thinking of going into Vegas for the Wild game there, book your flights and hotels now.
Yeah.
Because that is the first weekend of March Madness. I've been in Vegas on the first weekend of March Madness before, and it's the most fun experience I've ever had in Vegas because you have 64 or whatever now the amount of teams are in the tournament, all the fans there together, all wearing jerseys, parties everywhere. Every casino's got its own private parties. It's a fun place to be. But also because of that, it is hard. It's easy now to get hotel rooms, but it's not going to be easy. And the cost of hotel, like you can get to Vegas and stay in hotels for like $50 a night, good hotels, if you search for the right deals. But as all of a sudden people realize this is March Madness, those prices are going to go up and up and up. And it's also probably going to be, I think it's going to be a big destination for Wild fans, so it's going to be hard to get tickets to the hockey game. So I would get preemptive about that strike.
How good a prospect is Jordan Greenway?
He's good. Watching him today, I mean, he's got a lot of talent. He goes to the net. My concern with him is probably a little bit like Alex Tuck, and I wonder about the pace of the game. I don't see him being a great skater. So that's something that he's got to improve. But he's one of those guys that if he's got to dominate inside the blue paint or around that blue paint, and if he's not going to do that, he's not going to be a good pro. His at his size at 6'6", Brad Bombardier said it the other day, he's got to dominate every battle that he is in. There's no excuse for him getting out-battled by a defenseman. He should be the one that's coming on the better end of every battle. And so, he has not had great statistical success at all at Boston University. So I think this is a big year for him to go back there, take advantage of the rope and the role that David Quinn's going to give him with the Terriers and dominate, and then turn pro in March or April, and then come in and be a pro that's going to make an impact, because the Wild desperately need to find one of these guys that becomes a home run.
Last question. If Chuck Fletcher doesn't sign anybody else, what is Bruce Boudreau's mood going to be like going into the season?
Yeah, I mean, privately or publicly?
Privately.
Yeah.
Tell us
publicly, it'll be so-so. Privately, I'm sure he's going to be, really concerned. I mean, again, they got lucky last year with injuries and didn't really have to dig deep in Iowa. They really are happy with all the depth guys that they signed there. Landon Ferraro, Cal O'Reilly, Ryan Murphy, Alex Grant. Some of those guys, but they're minor league depth guys for a reason, and so you can't go the whole year with these guys there. And I definitely don't think they have enough depth at center. It will be interesting to see if some of these younger guys that they sign or are pros can make an impact. The Luke Cunnins eventually play here. Justin Clue, Sam Annis, very skilled today. It was awesome, but very he's you can step on that guy. He's undersized. I do think that they've got to get some NHL depth here, and I think signing Matt Cullen would be the way to go, as long as Matt genuinely in his heart of hearts wants to play. And really, by the end of this process, when the Wild are going to make their decision, hopefully it's going to be such a good time, enough time for Matt to make in the heart of hearts, where then it can be his decision. But I don't know how you don't. Right now, to me, he and Drew Stafford are the best free agents out there. I'd call on them both. Right. I mean, I think you get Drew cheap too. But again, I get what Chuck is saying. You got to count your dollars right now, and and then figure out what you can have. Because remember, the Wild, they have $15.7 million, but 13 of that at least is probably going to Koivu Granlund Niederreiter and Foligno. So you can't just sign Stafford and Cullen at $1 million each. I mean, you can't go into next season with only like $700,000 worth of cap space. You need a cushion to make internal changes throughout the year, have injury call-ups, things like that. So, I think you got to at least get one really good forward, and then maybe try to get somebody on a $600,000 deal or something.
Barb Rule, Chris LeBreche, and John Freiting V, who watches from Colorado, all said thanks for the podcast, Michael.
Nice.
And wish you well on your upcoming trip to Ireland and Scotland.
Thank you.
Also, thank you to our sponsors, Twill and Edina Galleria, Fixology Repair, 3rd floor of the Mall of America, and Crown Bank, Edina and Minneapolis. Thanks to Steve Terry for stopping by. Have fun at the show tonight. And if you wouldn't mind, give Mr. Russo a hand for his usual great work.
Thank you.
Pretty little city built on a hillside. Music in the bars and fire in the sky. We went to the beach and it was covered in ice. And I used to call it home. So much coming out, there's nothing going in. I know that you feel like you're never gonna win. Oh, but the world won't forgive a winner.
Security threats are everywhere. But with Xfinity XFi, you're notified of threats to your in-home Wi-Fi network, so all your connected devices are protected. That's simple, easy, awesome. Switch to Xfinity today and get a great offer. You'll get fast speeds and the best in-home Wi-Fi experience with Xfinity XFi. Plus, ask about enhanced security for safer browsing and more. Go to Xfinity.com, call 1-800-XFINITY, or visit an Xfinity store to switch today. Restrictions apply.
Excuse me, Captain. This is your wake-up call from the new TracFone Wireless.
What's that now?
What if you had to fly this plane while sitting back in the cabin?
I wouldn't have any control.
Well, that's what it's like going with some wireless companies, but TracFone Wireless gives you control. Get unlimited talk and text on America's best 4G LTE network starting at $20 a month, no contract. Plus, unlimited carryover data with active service.
That's cool, but how'd you get in my cockpit?
This is your wake-up call, people. The new TracFone Wireless. Now you're in control. See terms and conditions at TracFone.com.